Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank Father Biju and Nirmala ma'am and other faculty members who invited me for this. So, I've always been, a person in the backstage, like working as a producer, and never, given a talk or a lecture like this before. So, forgive me if I'm fumbling a bit or anything as such. So, and a bit about myself first. I did my journalism honors in Christ University. I was in BGA campus, and I started my working professional in automotive movies as a video correspondent. And fortunately, I ventured into podcast as a project. That was my first project which I had to take over and then completely work on it. So that's how I developed my interest in podcasting from 2019. And that was also the time when podcasting was rising. Many regional content podcasts by the creators was also happening, and a lot of listeners were also figuring out what whether it's like what is audio platform and podcasting was, because Indians were like not used to listen to only audio based content. It was mostly on YouTube. So I've been like part of the journey, like to be saying, from 2019 until now. I have seen the growth of podcasting where there was no much of AI involved in 2019 for creating content. And now, where AI is changing the podcasting landscape right now. So, I will start with the topic of how AI is changing the podcasting landscape here. Okay. So, first is I'm going to talk about the job opportunities and what is the current market for podcasting. So, currently, now startups and podcast production houses are, having a job opportunity of creative producers, podcast producers, and content writers for exclusively working on podcast, whether it's a branded podcast or creators podcast, or with founders or any genre, I say. And some of the companies which are uh, well known in India is Spooler Podcast is based on Bangalore, so that's where I also worked previously, and currently I'm with Idea Brew Studio. I recently have been started working there. Another big platform is called IVM Podcast. They do branded contents a lot, and the other platform which is there is called Abopper, and a lot of others are also there. And specifically now there are also media houses which are having a team for audio based content exclusively for in the team. So this is one of the first podcast I worked on. So it's called the India Energy Hour. So when basically we started this in 2019, and we are able to run this successfully even till now. We are in the season 5 of this podcast. So this was the podcast for, this was the first podcast in India which focused on renewable energy and climate change. So right now, we are like in India. This is the first podcast which reached rank 1 in Apple Podcast. So, like how the content in podcasting is rising, and many genres and topics. Interview based is more is the content which has been created. You might have all seen this recent episode by Nikhil Kamath with our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is his first ever podcast episode, which has been done, and the other one a week ago was where Raj Shamani in his podcast he interviewed Kejriwal, Arvind Kejriwal. So the podcasting creation and content is changing a lot right now. So quickly, I will go to the some of the tools which will be useful for podcast productions. So all these are AI related tools. The first one, like everyone knows about ChatGPT and content creation in that. So I'll not take much time there. So Swell AI is a platform. It's a complete package if you're doing a podcast. So what it does is you upload your entire podcast episode audio, and it would give you some all the show notes, chapter markers, and social media content as well. And it has its own chat bot where you can interact with your episode and find out interesting bits, where it would make your work easy to understand the episode and create a social media content for it. And it also creates highlight reels, videos, and everything, so which is very useful. And yeah, so 11 Labs, the next one is a platform where you can create voices. So like you can have a bank of voices with people, and then you can generate content like now you just add your text and it will be generated in your voice. So I mean, this has its benefits and disadvantages as well. But yeah, like in content creation, it would be very useful for audio based, and using it wisely is always recommended. And Headliner is another app where you can use you can use your to create social media content as well for videos. And then Descript is another platform where you can entirely edit your episode, whether it's a podcast or a video content. It has various tools for you to remove background noise, create removing the background in the video and all the other elements. And Deepseek is another platform where you can create SEO friendly content for your episodes. Uh, to conclude, I just want to say that as creators, like using AI is it should help you with your content creation. It shouldn't be the only source of using that platforms and creating content. So there should be some research, some more content and knowledge also to be implemented before creating. It's just because you have an AI tool for to create a voice and everything, it shouldn't be like created like that. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much done.